Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. A literal cow has been caught doing the impossible, standing on a slightly sloped roof. Someone quick called the Secret Service director, the one who argued that it was too dangerous for her guys to secure the roof that the shooter used on Saturday in Pennsylvania because it had a slight slope to it. And yet the roof that the Secret Service snipers used to take down the killer had a much more sloped roof than the one the shooter actually used, which makes no sense. Plenty of other things don't make sense about that day either. As far as CNN, of all places, is now reporting, Secret Service actually knew about the shooter 3 hours before the attempted assassination of President Trump. It was bad enough when we thought they had noticed the suspicious character for about 20 minutes or so beforehand. Instead, it appears that the killer initially tried to pass through security around 3 p.m., but the rangefinder in his pocket, which is used for target shooters to measure distances, aroused suspicion. Greg Price, who does comms work for the State Freedom Caucus Network, breaks it down. Quote, "They caught him with a rangefinder 3 hours before the shooting and did nothing. They spotted him 30 minutes before the shooting and did nothing. They took a literal picture of him and did nothing. Members of the crowd were pointing at him and did nothing. They left the most obvious assassination point in the world completely unsecured. At what point does incompetence stop being the explanation for why Trump was nearly killed?" End quote. And the shooter's parents even had called the cops before the rally to say that their son was missing and they were worried about what he was up to. And with emotions running high on Monday night at the RNC, where President Trump made his first public appearance since his attempted assassination, it was easy to miss a critical change in his Secret Service detail. It was all male. It's quite the departure from the actual day of the shooting, where several female Secret Service agents were either too short to cover Trump's vulnerable torso while trying to shield him, or who had trouble holstering their own firearms amidst the chaos. Now, I don't want this to come off as me disparaging the agents who risked their own lives to protect the president, because bravery is bravery and that is commendable. Instead, what I hope to convey is that as women, we are built differently than men, and so we're not always up to the same tasks as men, and that's okay. I want to spark the same reflection that I had when I was in school and wanted to become an EMT. Obviously, both men and women can render life-saving medical aid, but what I feared is that what if my female frame was not as capable as the male body in the rare circumstances that I need to move a patient on my own? What kept flashing before my eyes was a dash cam video I had seen of a female cop who was first to arrive at the scene of a family pulled over on the side of the road. The husband and father was suffering a massive heart attack and needed CPR pronto. But the female cop was unable to lift the man from the passenger seat of his vehicle and to drag him away from the slope of the shoulder of the road that he was on in order to lay him flat and begin chest compressions. Thankfully, a male officer soon arrived on scene and dragged the man away quickly and easily. That was something the female cop struggled to do. On the video, she's begging and pleading and straining as her muscles failed to move the dead weight of the large man, nearly costing him his life. And I'm sure this female cop was quite strong as far as female standards go, and yet she was unable to overcome her biology when it mattered. A regular male frame was able to accomplish what she couldn't. What we need are standards that are uniform for men and women in these sorts of professions, where an unforgiving world doesn't go easier on women. But I know why that can't be, because then 99% of women wouldn't be able to meet the male standard, and so there would be even less female cops or firefighters or soldiers or whatever than there are today. And that would make feminists mad. But guess what? That's okay. It's a man's job to protect and serve. Wearing the uniform should not be a vainglorious venture of self-fulfillment, but of self-sacrifice to the higher good. That's something Kimberly Cheadle, the Secret Service director who got outdone by a cow on a sloped roof, should learn, as she crusades for woke DEI requirements to stuff the Secret Service with as many women as possible. Joining us now to discuss these themes, as she writes about in this article for the Daily Wire, is Jennifer Strickland, the founder of You Are More, a ministry that teaches people their worth in God's eyes, and the author of I Am a Woman, Taking Back Our Name. Jennifer, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Great. So some may say that the headline of your article for the Daily Wire is bold. It reads, "Why requiring women to register for military service will destroy American families." But I personally think it's spot on. So can you explain for us your argument in this piece?
Well, when it comes to times of war, the home front is women's post to guard. And by having women in their childbearing years, 18 and over, registering for the military draft when they just don't have the physical strength